And whenever I speak around the country, or anytime I speak at a church, or even in any kind of believer conference or whatever, where there's Christian conference, Bible conference, I ask this same question, and I think it's a very important question. And I'm just going to ask you to type into your question box the answer. Do you think that we are closer to the first coming of Christ over here, or do you think we are closer to the second coming of Christ over here? So just type in 1 if you think we're closer to this on the timeline, or 2 if you think we're closer to here on the timeline. And I will see if we have any 1s. I have rarely seen anybody type in 1. Okay, good. Looks like most of you typing in 2. The idea here, of course, is that we are closer to the second coming than we are the first coming. And most people, most Christians will readily admit that. The problem that we are faced with when we understand this truth, that we are indeed closer to the second coming of Christ than we are to the first coming of Christ, is that we must understand that as we get close to the second coming of Christ, the closer we get to the second coming of Christ, the greater the deception is supposed to become. And one of the problems that I have immediately noticed today is that we oftentimes think that we know what the deception is. But remember what Matthew 24 says in the Olivet Discourse. Jesus Christ himself says that if the elect could be deceived, if it were possible, they would be deceived. Right? This is how great the deception is going to be. The Bible says that God will send a delusion that men should believe a lie. They will suppress the truth. Even though they know the truth, they suppress the truth and they believe a lie. They choose to believe a lie. And because of this deception, I believe that there is so much deception around us that most of us have no clue how much deception we are facing. That even the things that we call good are indeed oftentimes not good. We are living in a time where good is called bad and bad is called good. You see that in many ways. But I'm going to suggest to you today that that runs much deeper than we may ever realize. Here's what the Bible says in 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 2 through 5. It says, "For the time will come," this is a promise from Paul, "the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but according to their own desires, because they have itching ears, they will heap up for themselves teachers. And they will turn their ears away from the truth and be turned aside to fables." But then he encourages Timothy, "But you be watchful in all things." This idea is that we're going to see a turning away from truth. We're going to see a turning away from truth. Peter confirms this word in chapter 2, verse 1 of 2 Peter, where he says, "But there were also false prophets among the people, just as there will be false teachers among you. They will secretly introduce destructive heresies," secretly. That is, covertly. That means that you don't see them sowing these destructive heresies. You simply believe them. "Even denying the sovereign Lord who bought them, bringing swift destruction upon themselves."